welcome everyone to another episode of the Dicebearers podcast. Today we have a couple of very special things happening. We are doing the list review of the Wrath and Ruin event, and to help us with that, we have Andrew Coleman himself. Andrew, tell us a bit about yourself.
Hi guys, thanks for having me. So I'm a pretty regular tournament player here in New South Wales, Australia. Won a fair few. This event in question that we're talking about, I've actually won for 5 years in a row. And I decided to step down and help run as an assistant. We've combined it this year with another event that I run that's a charity event called Sail On to Brighter Shores. That's in memory of Patrick Murphy, who's one of our community players, who's a good friend of mine who passed away in 2016. So yeah, we've decided to combine together to run this event. So I'm quite excited to share this list with you. There are some special thematic rules specifically for this event. It's divided into regions, good versus evil only. So you're only playing against evil if you're good and good if you're evil. And it's divided into regions, so you're only playing thematic matchups as well. So we've got a Rohan region, we've got a South Gondor and Rad region, we've got a Rovanion and Mirkwood region. So the idea is you're going to be playing purely thematic matchups. Within those regions, we're also limited to the amount of heroes. So each named hero can only appear once per region. So it ensures that every matchup is going to be different and it's going to be thematic as well.
And there's no Boromir, most importantly.
Yes, that's right.
Except in breaking, yeah.
At the breaking of the Fellowship. So there's a couple of limitations in terms of the options you can, but we try and be accommodating to players if they got a limited amount of forces or there's something specific they want to do. And we're looking at 600 points.
Awesome.
Yeah. All right, well, let's just jump into our first region then. So in Rohan, we have Lothlorien and Rohan for the forces of good, and for the forces of evil, Isengard, because it's like 7 different army lists at this point, right? So, first list, the Riders of Theoden from Vaughan. So we've got Theoden with armored horse, heavy armor, and shield. He's got 3 Royal Guard on horse with a throwing spear. Darrowine with a horse, with a Royal Guard with a throwing spear, and a Royal Guard on horse. Gamling with horse and Royal Standard of Rohan, 2 Royal Guard on horse, with throwing spears, 1 normal Royal Guard. We've got Elfhelm with a horse, and then Dernhelm with 1 Royal Guard on horse and throwing spear. What do we think of this list, Mr. Coleman?
So yeah, this is your classic Rohan at the moment, isn't it? The Rise of Theoden with a fair few heroes and gambling. Not quite good as it used to be because the banner's not there anymore, but it's still very effective, and you got a lot of heroes and they can output a lot of damage, and all those Royal Guard at Fight 5 are very effective at knocking down troops as well.
Yeah, definitely. I really like the pure Royal Guard version of this list a lot.
Yeah, we talked about it in our Legendary Legion episode. I think it's a fun way to run it. Just go ham, go crazy on the charge.
This is like the full dive cav list, hey? Andrew, you've had a lot of experience playing cavalry. Do you think this will be a easy to pilot cav list or one of the harder ones? Where do you think this one sits?
It's a little bit more forgiving in the sense that you don't have to maneuver that much because you don't really have any shooting, so you're committed to a charge. It's making sure you get your charges off and you got your spacing right and all that. It's still, a tricky thing to do, but it's not as difficult as some of the other cavaliers you might face. And I think this one's a lot of fun, and it is pretty powerful, but it's also pretty thematic.
Yeah, definitely. Yes.
I think it's an interesting one as well, because this is one where I think some of the region rules came up, because I think he wanted to run Eomer, but one of the other players is running an Eomer, so he can't show up twice in the same region. So I think he had to swap Eomer out to Darrowine here. That's an interesting way that the rules restrictions are limiting list building. I think it's neat.
I actually really like this version of
you like Darrowine better than you like the limited heroes in some way.
Yeah, definitely. Yes.
We don't want 3 Eomers just showing up everywhere, just going killing
everything. For a different system, Age of Sigmar, we ran an event where you had to do a different faction within your teams. So you had to do like all order, all destruction, blah, 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 but it had to be unique factions in each, and it was a really fun event. This is the same sort of idea, and I love having another like this.
All right, with that, I think we can get on to our next list. Take it away, Chris.
Yeah, so we have Aleksa himself running this list. It is a Isengard list. So you have Saruman on a horse with the upgrade called Grima. In the warband as well, you have 2 Uruk-hai warriors with shield, 6 Uruk-hai warriors, with pike, 1 with a shield and banner, and 5 Uruk-hai with crossbows, and 1 Bane. You also have Vrasku with 1 Uruk-hai berserker, 2 Uruk-hai with shields, 5 Uruk-hai with pikes, and 4 Uruk-hai with crossbow. Comes to 6 might, 29 models, 10 crossbows and 599 points. What do you think about this one, Mr. Coleman?
I like it. I think 600 points and above is the time we can start looking at taking Saruman. I think you can struggle to get his value at things below that. The 10 crossbows is mildly terrifying to look at.
Listen, you got to approach things in a certain way, right?
I think with Saruman being able to just from 18 inches as well, just compel a hero out of the line and just hail them down with crossbows.
That's exactly. It's like someone's trying to hide. It's like pull them out. Just gun them down. I think playing around like a defensive line with a wizard like this, I think, is the ideal way to go. It lets you you can force your opponent to come to you with that wizard, and then make the most use of those crossbows. That's my general thinking with writing a list like this.
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the biggest challenges with lists like this, though, is you have a lot of pikes, and actually, sorry, I said that wrong. You don't have a lot of pikes relative to the amount of troops you have. So I think playing a wide front is what a lot of other armies at 600 points will want to do, but not what you want to do, and making them play the way you want is going to be the challenge.
It's going to be tricky. Running a wizard is always hard because there's so many points invested into them, I think. But, I mean, I think I can make it work, right?
Yeah, I think that the one other thing I'd look out for is because there's no march, your only mobility is
Rasko's march
himself, and that could... Does he?
Yeah, Rasko's insane. Rasko's absurd. Yeah, he's like the best hero in the game.
Never mind.
Yeah, I definitely think, though, I think it is a mistake to not run march with a big hero like a Saruman, or even things like running Shagrat, bigger points investment heroes. You need to have that march on the table to help them get around.
I mean, with Saruman, it's also good because it lets you extend his range in a way with the march, and then he gets an extra 3 inches to get his spell in. Lets you get cheeky, I think. Yeah. Any final words, Andrew?
Yeah, okay. Well, with the march, I actually think you've got all your fundamental bases covered. It's a good, solid list, and if you play your fundamentals right, it'll take you far.
Yeah, now onto the other white wizard in this event. We've got Eomer's riders. So Eomer with horse and shield and throwing spears, Gandalf the White on Shadowfax, Erkenbrand on horse, 7 riders of Rohan with throwing spears, 1 rider of Rohan with throwing spear and banner. What do we think, guys? What do you think, Chris?
This is such a weird list. I both love it and hate it at the same time. I think the Riders of Eomer as a Legendary Legion is a really, I guess, unique way to play this list. Being tied down to only having Riders of Rohan can be a bit frustrating, but it also means you get to play the shooting game really well, and you have the White Wizard, which means that you probably win most shooting engagements, even though you only have 8 bows. It's just one of those really weird ones, I guess. What are your thoughts on it, Andrew?
Yeah, so talking about cavalry lists that are hard to pilot, this one will be up there because you're going to have to be a lot more patient than the first Rohan list that we looked at. You're going to need to leverage that shooting a lot more. And when you do charge, you really have to make sure it counts for when you declare that the sun is rising and make that turn really, really, really count.
Yeah, definitely. I've had the privilege of playing against this Legendary Legion a couple of times myself, and it really takes me, it's like playing the old allies of a Shade. It really hits hard when you don't expect it to. It's scary.
I mean, -1 to fight is huge. It's huge. I think it's really interesting bringing Erkenbrand as well, because obviously he had the warband space to bring more riders, but he chose to bring a 3rd hero instead of doing that. So I think it's an interesting choice here on Jade's part. What do you think?
I think it plays beautifully into Jade's playstyle. Yeah. He is a very aggressive player when he plays, and I think having that 3rd hero with that debuff, where all 3 heroes get to call the hero at combat and just go absolutely ham, I think that's perfectly the way he wants to play. So I think it's correct.
Yeah, fair enough. Anything else, Andrew?
Yeah, I've also seen variants of this list that is just heroes. Add more captains in. That's an interesting one.
Yeah, we've seen that. Mr. Andreas himself. Well. Hey, listen, he went 4-1, didn't he? So you can't blame him.
King of second place, right?
Yeah. All right, on to our next list, the Army of Dunland. Take it away, Chris.
Oh, you gave me the big list to read.
I did, yeah. Have fun.
Alrighty. So you have Theoden on a horse. He has 2 Dunland horsemen and 1 Crobane in his warband. You then have Goroth Ironskin, I think my favourite of the new Isengard heroes. Dunland heroes. He is leading 2 Dunland warriors with shield, 2 Dunland warriors with shield and 2-handed axe. I like that a lot. 1 Huskar with shield and banner, and 5 Dunlanding Huskarls. You then have Frida Tallspear with 2 Dunlanding warriors with shield, 2 warriors with shield and 2-handed axe, 2 warriors with dagger and bow, and 3 Dunlanding Huskarls. You then have the Oathmaker with 6 Wildmen of Dunland and another 6 but have 2-handed axes. Comes to 12 might, 38 models, 2 bows, and a smooth 600 points. Andrew, what are your thoughts?
So I played a bunch of Rohan versus Dunland matchups, and they're so much fun because both of them have advantages in different areas. Rohan's got that mobility and the shooting, and when they charge, they can have impact. But Dunland's got the model count, and they got the strength. And if Dunland can catch the Rohan and pin them down and start grinding them, they can start to mince them apart.
And I mean, they've got that huge turn of +2 to wound against them as well, where Thryden calls the battle cry and they have Hatred Rohan. And they go +2 to wound, and then you 2-hand with your Huskarl and strength 5 and you auto wound.
I didn't think about that.
You did not, but I did. Yeah. So your Huskarls can auto wound if they piercing strike 2-hand.
The Age of Men is really over.
It's a little excessive for sure, but it's extremely entertaining, I reckon, that you can do that.
Yes. I also think with 12 points in might, this list really turns up the pressure against Rohan. The other Rohan lists we've seen so far are... Oh, actually, I guess the Death Legion's quite high in might, isn't it, as well?
Yeah, it's pretty high. I mean, the other list is just going to have to kite. There is no sun rises and you kill all the Wildmen. There's too many of them. It's just... but yeah.
I think I'm really interested to see how this list plays. If I wrote this list up, I think I would have done one more Quabain in the list just to help out with it. But in saying that as well, I guess it's just the way the points work out.
My favorite part's going to be Frida stopping Eomer's charge on the turn of the sun.
Oh, yes. Frida is amazing.
Frida's going to be the MVP here against this list. But with that, sorry, Andrew, anything else?
Even Goroff as well. Just having the heroic defense, I think it's going to be quite useful because install heroes for quite a while.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's really nice having a model that can call 3 stats. And I think Heroic Defense is one of the nicest ones to be able to call, especially when you know you're pairing them into the hero, right?
Yeah,
I think it's...
If they put those horsemen into the heroes as well, the Dunland horsemen, that could be dangerous as well, because that's a real threat for their charges and keeping them mounted.
Yes, exactly that.
Yeah, that reroll ones on horse is going to come in huge.
Yeah, exactly that. Hey.
I think that's it. Any final thoughts?
Not for me. What about you?
Anything from you, Andrew?
Nope.
All right, well, let's get on to the wooden elves from Lothlorien. We've got Haldir with Elven Bow, Elven Cloak, and Heavy Armor, with 3 Wood Elf Sentinels, 1 Wood Elf Warrior with a banner, 4 Wood Elf Warriors with throwing daggers and spears, 4 Wood Elf Warriors with Elf Bow and throwing daggers, 4 Wood Elf Warriors with throwing daggers, Rumor with Elven Cloak, 1 Wood Elf Sentinel, 4 Wood Elf Warriors with throwing daggers, 3 Wood Elf Warriors with throwing daggers and elf bows, and 4 Wood Elf Warriors with spears. And finally, a Galadrim Stormcaller for 7 might, 30 models, and 10 bows. That's a lot of Wood Elf, isn't that, Andrew?
We're going full kite here. Yeah, it's a lot of shooting, it's a lot of maneuverability. So, 4 sentinels all up that's a lot of movement shenanigans. So this army's going to be playing the avoidance game to like nothing else. Even a Stormcaller, I expect that as well. Actually,
I didn't either. I was like reading through the list and I got to the end of it. I'm like, wait, what? Where did this come from?
I kind of like the Stormcaller, so I had to think. I had the same thought when I first saw it. Like, why is this here?
I mean, I know it's because it doesn't have any warband space left.
But regardless of that, like I thought about it and I was like, you know, just knocking something back to 6 inches and just hailing it with throwing daggers. That's actually viable.
It's not bad. I don't disagree.
Yeah. Andrew, did you ever play against this sort of list in like the older editions, that sort of stuff?
Yes. On a flat open board with very little terrain except for a forest.
Yes.
Look, all I'm saying is I'm glad I have birds.
Yeah, I think into the Isengard matchup with Quabain, this list becomes a lot less effective, but that doesn't take away the fact that it is still a lot.
Honestly, I'm not even that scared of the bows. I'm scared of the like 20 throwing daggers on 3+ to hit.
Well, the bow turns off the Elven Cloaks. That's the actual scary part.
Yes, it does. But I'm saying once lines meet, and just if he wins a turn of priority and just 20 throwing knives come in, I'm gonna have a lot less Urukai left.
That's also very true. Yeah, alrighty.
So that's all the Rohan region. What's your sort of favorite list or any matchups you're excited about for it, Andrew?
I love Dunland thematic list. I think my favorite one here is the Dunland. And obviously going against those Rohan lists and seeing how that classic interaction plays out.
Yeah, definitely. What about yourself, Aaron?
I'm looking forward to the wizard duel. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
Saruman versus Gandalf's gonna be fun, I reckon.
Yes,
It's gonna be a lot of people getting blasted.
Yeah. I think my favorite matchup is going to be this list into the your list, actually.
Yeah, you reckon?
Saruman list.
I think it'll be an interesting one as well.
Yeah, like magic resist going into the wizard, as well as a lot of firepower on both sides.
Yeah.
I'm really interested to see how it matches up.
It's gonna be contest and we're just gonna break into each other.
I hope it is.
All right, with that, we've covered the Rohan region. So going into Gondor/Mordor. So obviously we have Gondor and the Wildmen of Druidain against the forces of evil with Mordor and the Easterlings. So our first list, Chris, take it away.
Yeah, so we have Huron the Tall, who's even taller because he's on a horse. He is leading 5 knights of Minas Tirith, 1 knight of Minas Tirith with a banner. You then have Prince Imrahil on a horse with a lance. He's leading 6 knights of Dol Amroth with horse and lance. You then have a captain of Minas Tirith, who is leading 4 knights of Minas Tirith with a shield. So it's a fully mounted up list. It has 8 points of might, 19 models, no bows, but 600 points of absolutely terrifying cav. What are your thoughts on this one, Andrew?
So I actually have a significant portion of this on my painting table right now. So I might be wandering over that table and just having a look, see how it's going. Yeah, it's not a subtle list. They're going to charge in, and it's going to be impressive with the amount of lances you got, and the banner's going to help.
Yeah, definitely.
I would have actually liked to see Forlong, because Forlong synergy with the cab is actually really big, because then you're re-rolling ones, and that can get you close to auto wounds with lances.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, like even like Imrahil is great, and he does bring them to fight 5, but Forlong is a lot cheaper and has that crazy killing power on his side. And since you're bringing a banner anyway for your Minas Tirith guys, it doesn't even feel like Imrahil's only bannering his knights. He's not bannering the other 9 guys, so it feels kind of rough in that regard. But I still think Imrahil is like the fight 5 on the cav is huge. Yeah. And this is the kind of list where Imrahil's just going to give all 6 knights on the turn they charge, or 4 of them out of 6. The +1 fight.
I think if you wanted to do Huron and Forlong list, you swap Huron.
Probably.
Because all of the models in his warband can move into the captains. And then you can just do like 3 knights in each of those.
Oh, actually, it's interesting. Yeah, I like that.
Because they're both 90 points, right?
Yes, I think so. Huron is 80 base, 90 horse, I think so.
Yeah. So
it's interesting swap.
Yeah,
I get a Warhorn for some reason.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on a change like that, Mr. Andrew?
Yeah, I think I like that. I think, I mean, the version it's got is still perfectly fine as well.
Yeah, Huron is solid. He's got strike.
Yeah, and getting Forlong as a model on horse is tricky as well. I can't really
definitely.
That.
It's true. It's always a barrier.
Yeah. Right. In saying that, though, the one other synergy I love about this one is that Imrahil, his victory points get protected as long as Huron is alive as well.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure it's just Gondor hero. So
yeah, I think that's really cool.
Yeah, Huron's just a neat hero, isn't he? But let's open the Black Gate, shall we? So the Black Gate opens with the Blackgate Troll Chieftain, 1 Morannon Orc with banner, 6 Morannon Orcs with spears, 6 Morannon Orcs with shields, the Mouth of Sauron with 6 Morannon Orcs with spears and 6 Morannon Orcs with shields, and the Mordor Troll Chieftain. 7 might, 28 models, 0 bows. What about it, Chris? Come on, you love this.
I do love this, and I'm also slightly terrified of it. I love this legion. I think in the Gondor War book, this is probably my favourite of the legions. The only downside to it is you can't play a shaman, only way to negate the poor courage management side of the list. But you have a fearless troll, you have the Mouth of Sauron to throw some transfixes down, and you have a second Mordor troll just to lay down that hurt a little bit more. I think it's actually a really cool list. What are your thoughts on this, Andrew?
Yeah, it's pretty effective. Double Troll Chieftain is pretty scary. I mean, if you think about the list that we just looked at, it's got 2 Troll Chieftains to deal with, and if ever of them ever gets away from them, they're in big trouble. So like they're dangerous. And having Fearless on the leader troll is going to be quite useful if you do have any terror, if there's potentially any dead in your region.
Yeah, that could be a potential issue, couldn't it?
Yes, I also love the double trolls into cav matchups because you just hurl and just mess up all of the beautiful cav lanes.
I hope you have a lot of dismounts if you're playing against this list.
Exactly. Yeah. Andrew, do you have any advice about playing a cav list into a monster-heavy list like this?
You either try and kill the trolls in one go, or you don't go near them, so you'll charge somewhere else. It's one of the two. You can't half-heart it. You go in and leave a little gap for them to go in and then let them get into you. You've got to either decide you're going to kill them or decide you're going to run away from them.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, yeah.
Yeah, I think trying to get a trap on them is really important, because you can't knock them prone, obviously, but you still get your +1 dice, and if you get a trap, you can still roll, 8 dice on your morale to go for the kill. So looking for those traps in them, I think, is really important.
Yes, I definitely agree with that, yeah.
All right, on to the most exciting list of the event.
Oh, I'm so excited.
So take it away, Chris.
Okay, so this is probably the lowest model count army we have at this event. It's Garnbury and his Wozers. So he has in Garn's Warband 7 Wozers with axes, 8 Wozers, and then you have a warband of 7 Wozers and 4 Wozers with axe. And you copy paste that 2 more times. And then for the final warband, you have 6 Wozers and only 3 Wozers with axe. It's only 3 points in might. It was a little bit low on the model count, 58 models, and 58 blowpipes as well for a smooth 600 points. What are your thoughts on this one, Andrew?
So I've got 15 Wildmen of Druidain for the Legendary Legion. Tom has 58. I'm very impressed. I can't wait to see it on the table. It's going to look fantastic. In terms of how it actually plays, it's going to have a lot of killing powers. It's got an insane amount of numbers, and it's got axes. And because it's going to be versing so many orcs, it's going to have +1 to wound as well. So it's actually got a lot of killing power.
All I can say is
defense.
Yeah, all I can say is I'm glad it's not in my region. We played against this list in my Isengard and the Torrekai just melted away.
Yes. I think my favorite thing about this list is when Tom and I were practicing for it, we were trying to figure out what is the perfect way for him to just, kill his whole army if he needs to. I love it. I think this is such a cool list. And having 58 models is just insane. Even at 750, that's a lot of models to deal with. But this is a 600-point event.
The fact that it's 58 blowpipes was actually just crazy.
Yes, that as well. They are short range. That is their big drawback.
Yeah, but they're poisoned as well.
Yes.
And you have Stalk Unseen.
Yeah.
And you ignore Stalk Unseen. But that really matters against orcs, but...
Yeah, the one Mordor Stalker that might show up, right? Yeah.
If he does play Fog of War, I apologise to his opponent in advance. So not Fog of War, Clash by Moonlight.
Fog of War is also awful against this list, because Garnbury just goes, hides in a corner. You can't do anything to him. Yeah, we played that during our practice games, and he put Garnbury put in a watchtower, and I was like, okay, I guess I don't get to play this mission.
I think my favourite part about that was he blew 2 might and a will trying to keep his courage test up.
Hey, listen, he lived though. He lived.
Yeah.
That is one thing. If you can break it, you've got a shot.
Yeah, because there's only one hero, and if you can snipe Gunbury again, which isn't that hard to be perfectly honest,
yes,
they'll just disappear off the table.
Yeah. I think this list is actually going to struggle a lot into the Blackgate Open Legion. Having 2 Troll Chieftains to deal with, I think if I was the Mordor player, I'd just have all my orcs a good 5 or 6 inches back from the trolls and let them do most of the killing. And you just play the kiting game against a shooting army, which sounds weird, but I think that's correct.
How long does it take 58 blowpipes to kill a troll? Has anyone done the math? Yeah, I think that'll be exciting. Now on to the next matchup, which I think this will be a very brutal game between these two lists, with the hatred on hatred with Gothmog's Legion. So we've got Gothmog on Warg with shield, 3 Moran Orcs with shields, 3 Moran Orcs with shields and spears, 4 Mordor Orcs with 200 weapons, and 1 Mordor Orc with shield and banner. Then we have Gothmog's Enforcer with 1 Mordor Troll, 4 Moran Orcs with shields, 4 Moran Orcs with shields and spears, and finally Guritz, the Master of Reserves, with 3 Moran Orcs and 4 Moran Orcs with shields. How do we think this matchup is going to go, Andrew, between these 2 hatred armies?
There's going to be a lot of models moving off the table.
I definitely agree.
It'll be a quick game either way once lines meet.
Yeah, a lot of grind. This is another classic Mordor kind of thing. If you've got your big beefy shield wall and you've got some good heroes, the mid-tier range to back it up. I know he's got a troll in there as well. That's quite nice, actually. Still keep to 30 models.
Yeah, I actually really like having that Mordor troll in that warband as well. I think I would have tried to do the Dush instead of the Enforcer, but having that troll brings so much killing power back into that warband that I think it's fine, and it just empowers Gothmog to go on a killing spree. So.
Yeah. I mean, if there's no one for him to master battle off of, using Gothmog's Enforcer to give him those Korok combats off of the will, right?
No.
Oh, is it
it's
only
got
moves? It's only moves. Oh, right. Okay. Still really good. Then saves the might to do the combats, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what it's for. Yeah.
Gets to do those charges you need. Very powerful, I think.
Yeah, and it's a cheeky way to bring like a quote-unquote extra point of might into a model, because he can give 3 to Gothmog and he has the one himself. So it means he actually like is a pseudo four might hero.
Yeah, it's an interesting hero. I think seeing more of him will be interesting. I'll walk over and watch what he does with Gothmog, and watch the speed run of finishing a game in 30 minutes.
Yeah. Now I've noticed he has mostly Moran Orcs in this legion as well. He has a few Mordor Orcs in Gothmog's legion. Would you do a similar sort of ratio, Andrew, or would you mix it up a little bit more, or?
I think it depends on what you want to do. Because if you go to the Mordor Orcs, you can get more numbers in, or you can go pure Morannons as well, and that works perfectly fine. I noticed these ones are purely for the two-handed weapons, so that'll probably help because they're probably coming in executioners to get traps and gang up on models and knock them out that way. This is a solid way to do it. And by going from mostly Morannons as well, you're improving your defense, so you become harder to kill.
Yeah, definitely. I personally am a really big fan of doing like the 50-50. Of doing Mordor Orcs with just a shield and spear, and then doing Morannon Orcs with shields, and just doing like a front line like that, and having that strength 4 that can be strength 5 with the axes on the Morannons being backed up by just the cheaper models. But I guess it's just personal preference.
I think all is a viable ways to run it. Yeah, I think personal preference more than anything comes into it.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So, what are our favorite matchups in this region and lists? I think we all have an obvious favorite, right? Isn't that right, Chris?
Yes, I think my favorite matchup is going to be the Double Hatred. Without a doubt, having both of these match into each other is going to be so much fun to watch.
Yeah. What do you think, Andrew?
Yeah, I should add as well, there should be a couple more lists in this region that haven't been submitted yet. So if any of those people are listening, you know who you are. Please submit so we can lock in our regions. I'm quite keen to watch the cavalry list, just because I'm a bit of a cavalry enthusiast, and I'm painting that one up myself. So I'd like to see how it plays out.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think those Knights of Dolamus and those Knights of Minister are just going to look gorgeous when they're all lined up for that charge.
100%.
All cav armies I will say. Personally, beyond just the Wildmen, I'm excited to see the double trolls go on a rampage.
Yeah.
Especially against the Wildmen, just hurling down the line of deep theory guys. I think that'll be exciting, just bowling.
No, the part I'm excited for is watching like 10 Wildmen charge a troll and all piercing strike.
I think it'll be a brilliant game.
Exactly.
All right, on to our third region then. So it's South Gondor / Harad. So for the forces of good, we have the Dead of Don Harrow and Gondor. And for the forces of evil, we've got Mordor, Easterlings, and Far Harad / Serpent Horde. So, Chris, take it away with your favorite model in the game. The most fun model in the game.
Yes, this army looks familiar. Wow.
We've been here before.
Yeah, have I lost 2 events now with this army? So it is the Grand Army of the South, and it has in it a Mumok war leader with 4 Haradrim warriors with bow, 2 Mahud warriors with blowpipes, and 2 Mahud raiders, with blowpipe and war spear. And in the final warband, we have a Saladin on armored horse. It is 6 might. It is 11 models and it is 4 bows. This is a terrifying list, I think, for 600 points. What are your thoughts on it, Andrew?
So I played a bit of the War Leader, won an event with it before. I think I've versed you playing it, Chris, haven't I?
I was playing it, yeah.
Yeah. War Leader's really dangerous. It's difficult to stop because of fight Mormac that you can't send your leader into, or sort of heroic strike is really nasty, plus the fact it can block all your heroic moves. So at points level like 600 points, it's really hard to stop. I don't know if the support I picked around it is what I would have ran. I think I prefer having slightly more horses. I don't know if I bought Saladin well at 600 because he's kind of in his own except for the 2 raiders. I might have been tempted to run a captain and get a few more bodies in there.
Yeah.
But this way, it means you can kill everything on the ground and not be broken. So I can't really fault that.
Yeah, that's the usual the Howdah memes, as it were, where you can't do anything but fight the Mumak.
Yeah, it is. And also, with the War Leader's Warband, you don't actually have to deploy any of it in the Howdah if you don't want to. You have the choice to do that. So, there is that as well.
A lot of interesting things this list does.
Yeah.
With only 11 models.
Yes. It's so strange. 11 models, you have so much flexibility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
But on to our next list, the Return of the King. So we got Aragorn with 2 Riders of the Dead, 4 Warriors of the Dead with Shield, and 4 Warriors of the Dead with Shield and Spear. Followed with the King of the Dead, 1 Rider of the Dead, 4 Warriors of the Dead with Shields, 5 Warriors of the Dead with Shield and Spear, for a total of 4 might, 22 models, 0 bows, and 600 points. Now, I think this is actually a list that would be pretty good into the Mumak, as it were. What do you think, Andrew?
Yeah, you're totally right. It has the power to potentially knock it down, but if Aragorn's in there, it gets a bit scary when you get the Spiking Mumak in there as well.
Yeah.
But the King of Dead gets his shot. He can end the game very, very quickly against it.
Yes. I think this list kind of has to go for that one shot into the Mumak, I think you just put the King of the Dead front and center, everything lines up behind it, and you just stack the fight as much as you can, and keep Aragorn off fighting Saladin.
Yeah. Or if you can somehow cheeky Aragorn in from a heroic combat to touch in that 5-6 or something, which can be tricky, I imagine, but you can somehow make it happen, align the stars, as it were.
Yeah. Because the King of the Dead, it's a 4+ to kill the Mumak?
I'm not sure. I can't remember. He's strength 4. Mumak's courage is 5, right? Oh, no, he's striking the Mumak.
So
Yeah, I don't know.
It's 5, the Mumak's 2 from memory.
Oh, so it's threes to wound.
It's 3s.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
So save that might point on the King of the Dead, just in case you need might a 2 to a 3.
Yeah, that's terrifying.
Yeah.
It's kind of scary. Yeah, I think it's an interesting list. I think it's very powerful. Flynn's played it a lot. He's got a lot of experience with it, which should help him get in that good value off the Aragorn and the King of the Dead.
Yeah.
3 Riders of the Dead is also a lot of points, but also very nice, I think.
I think at this points level, 3 Riders of the Dead is a really nice number to have. Because other than the War Leader matchup, you have a lot of maneuverability on the table with those riders, and they are hard to deal with. Like, they will actually put up a big fight into most things. Even though they're only fight value 3, they are causing terror, they are defense 8, they are hard to deal with. And I don't see the evil matchups having a lot of success in bringing those riders down unless Flynn is making mistakes in their movement. And so I think it's actually a really nice number to have.
Yeah. What do you think, Andrew? Like the riders?
Yeah, it's cavalry. I'm always going to say
When
yes.
are you doing your all-mounted Riders of the Dead army? That's my question.
Well, look out.
Look out.
All right, well, look, I know I'm bringing Fury to every event.
That's definitely fair enough, yeah.
Right, on to our next terrifying list. Take it away, Chris.
Oh, okay. This one I'm excited about. So this is a Cirith Ungol list. It is Gorbag, who is leading 1 Orc Warrior with Banner and Spear, 3 Orc Warriors with Shield, 6 Orc Warriors with Spear. You then have a Mordor Uruk-hai Captain leading 2 Warriors with Shield, Mordor Uruk-hai Warriors, sorry. 2 Mordor Uruk-hai Warriors with 2-handed Mace, 1 Mordor Uruk-hai Warrior with Bow, why is that so hard to say, and 1 Mordor Uruk-hai on his own. You then have Shagrat, who is leading 3 Mordor Uruk-hai with Shields, 3 Mordor Uruk-hai with 2-handed Mace, and 1 with an Orc Bow. You then have an Orc Shaman, leading 2 Orc Warriors with Spears, and 2 Orc Warriors with Shields, and in the final warband, Shelob on her own. This is a really cool legion. I love the way that Shelob gets empowered. I think that she's ludicrously efficient alone. And being in this warband, in this legendary legion just makes her so terrifying. What are your thoughts on this one, Andrew?
So a funny bit of trivia about this list. Scott was talking to me about it and saying the points were a bit awkward at this level and he was going to get rid of the Shaman and he saw that he was versing the dead and he put it right back in.
Can't blame him, can we?
Is that why there's a Shaman?
Yeah,
Oh.
why else would he? You know the region, you know the dead could show up, so you're like, oh, okay, Shaman.
I didn't think about that.
You didn't think about a lot of things, Chris.
No, I definitely don't.
I don't know, as a Shield of enthusiast, I don't know why you haven't played this Legion. That's my question.
Yeah.
You really...
Look, okay, I haven't had a chance to play this Legion because my Mordor isn't fully painted, and they've been on my I'll get round to painting them table for like 2 years. Yeah,
2 years that I've played against you with them.
Yeah. So it's just one of those awkward feels bad ones where I want to get them painted up but just haven't had a chance to. But I really like this list. It's 27 models. That's still a lot of models when you have Shelob and 4 other heroes in the list. Andrew, how would you be looking to play this list? Would it be a more like front to back engage? Would you try to skirmish and let Shelob do the lifting? How would you want to play it?
Well, the nice thing about it, the way Scott's built it, is you've actually got a lot of versatility because you look at all the weapon options. There's a bit of everything in here, so you can play a bit of shooting if you need to against an army that's got no shooting. You can play a bit of a shield wall because you've got some shields in there, or you can do a little bit of skirmishing and trying to pull things out with Shelob. You've got the options to kind of mix and match your tactics depending on what you're facing and what they're bringing to you. So it's pretty flexible. I quite like it.
Yeah, definitely. I'm really interested to see this match into the Army of the Dead. I think it'd be a really interesting one to see how many Warriors of the Dead Shelob can eat and how.
Oh no. You mean how many courage tests she can fail?
Okay, listen.
It's not that unlikely.
I don't want to talk about it.
Any final thoughts, Andrew, on this list?
Scott and I have a bit of a thing where we tend to come up with army lists and ideas at the same time. We actually brought all our crew with Ungol together. I painted up my call bag for the Dicebearers event last week, but Scott's beaten me on this one.
Alright, on to our next list. We've got the Easterlings with Amdor. So Amdor on horse with 3 Eastlings with bows, a Black Dragon Cataphract with a war drum, a Eastling warrior with shield, pike, and banner, 2 Eastling warriors with shields, 2 Eastling warriors with pikes, and 3 acolytes, a Dragon Knight on horse with 4 Black Dragon pikes, a War Priest on horse with 3 acolytes, 2 Black Dragon Cataphracts, 2 Eastling warriors with shields, and 2 Eastling warriors with pikes, 6 might, 27 models, 3 bows. What do we reckon, guys?
I really... Oh, go into it, go.
Yeah, so there's one thing to point out quickly. When this was submitted, it had a slight error in it. There were too many warriors in Amdor's warband. And I'm assuming that the pikes have shields as well. But I'm just waiting for Taylor to get back to me to confirm that. But
I don't think he does.
I don't think the pikes have shields. No, I wrote most of the list for him, and I think I didn't put shields on pikes. I was like, just screw it, we don't need them.
Yeah, so he will have to explain to his opponent that they don't have shields on the pikes, just because I know he wasn't sure how to convert them without it yet.
Yeah.
Anyway, what do you reckon?
I think this is a really cool list. I think the addition of the War Priest is not a big surprise relative to the region he's in. I think having a Dragon Knight that can get powered up by that War Priest is going to be absolutely terrifying as well as Amdor. Although with the King of the Dead in there as well, I think you'd be a little bit more hesitant about throwing Amdor headlong into the enemy formations as much. But
just take him. Just go for it.
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, just Blade Wrath him and just kill the King of the Dead, right?
I don't know about that, Chief. But... Yeah, Andrew, what are your thoughts on this list?
I'm really interested in seeing how the acolytes go because I haven't seen them on the table yet. This is actually quite a maneuverable force with those acolytes to serve as a flanking force, and you've got the Dragon Knights and the Cataphracts. So you've actually got a respectable amount of maneuverability in there. Plus, you've got the War Drum. So that I think is going to be quite nice synergy. I think it's going to actually surprise its opponents at how fast it's going to move, which I think it can use to its advantages.
Yeah, definitely. I think the just brute force of this list, if it wants to just use that war drum to just march into your face and just start tearing face, is terrifying. And you have enough quote-unquote cav models to form that shield wall to help protect your heroes a little bit. Obviously, it's only just enough, but it is still something you can do. So,
what's great for this list is once it plays against the Pastor Druidain, you'll actually get to feel like Cataphracts are heavy cavalry.
That's true. That's definitely true.
Because they'll actually kill something.
Yeah. The problem is the Druidain will go to defense 1 because they'll fail with a piercing strike, and Taylor will roll 2s. So Taylor is a good friend of ours. He is renowned for rolling 6s to win fights and then 2s to wound. So despite having really good odds in a lot of fights, I think he's not going to be wounding much.
It's gonna be an interesting game, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
How many Wildmen can Amdor just cleave through.
Awesome. Well, that is the end of this region.
So what do we think? What are our favorite lists?
Yeah, exactly that. Andrew, what is your favorite matchup coming into this one?
I think that Army of the Dead versus the War Leader is very thematic and very interesting, and it's going to come down to some key roll-offs. Key roll-offs.
Yeah, definitely. What about you, Alex?
I think that'd be a very exciting game. I also agree. War Leader versus Aragorn and the King. Thematic, boy.
Yeah. I really want to see this list play off into, I think, any of the opponents. It'll be an interesting one, but these guys into the Army of the Dead, I think, will be a really fun matchup to watch as well. Because you have the War Priest, who is going to be causing that fearless bubble, hopefully, maybe. Depends if Taylor rolls 2s again.
We'll see if you can cast a spell,
Yeah, but I think this will be a really fun matchup because the Easterlings and the Warriors of the Dead are going to be, I think, relatively speaking, evenly matched, and it'll be a really good place to see the Acolytes' maneuverability and 2 attacks really shine. So.
Yeah, the 2 attacks against the whole fight army is just going to be very overwhelming. I think also Amdur is actually really well statted to go into Aragorn. They're both Elven made fight 6 guys.
Correct.
And then he gets the free strike if Aragorn strikes, neither of them ever striking. So they're pretty much on even ground, except that
Well, I think neither of them strike or they both strike.
Well, I mean, Amdur strikes for free, so why would Aragorn strike?
Because Aragorn can strike for free.
So they both strike. Yeah, that's
they
what I'm
either
saying.
both strike
But I'm saying that they're evenly matched at all times because of that, in a relative sense, except that Amdur gets the extra dice from charging and the knockdown from the horse.
If he gets the charge.
If he gets the charge, and then he also gets the maneuverability advantage, whereas Aragorn gets the pointy sword of doom, so he's always winning on fours. So it's actually a really interesting matchup, and I'm kind of excited to see how that fight goes down between those 2 leaders.
Yeah, definitely.
And if Taylor just commits to it, or if he skirts around him and tries to kill the king. Or something like that.
No, I like drilled into Taylor's head. Just go for heroes. Just go for heroes. Just go for heroes. So
watch the Dragon Knight charge Aragorn.
Oh no! The War Priest is going to buff itself up and charge Aragorn.
Oh, you know what? I can get behind that. All right, and with that, that's 3 regions down, and we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Alrighty, let's jump straight back into the back half of these lists, and let's go straight into the region, the Misty Mountains. So this one has Iron Hills, Fellowship, and Kingdom of Moria, and the Evil Forces has Moria and Azogs Hunters in it. Let's jump straight into our first list. What is it, Mr. Aleksa?
The breaking of the Fellowship with everything. That's what Adam wrote. So that's all I've got. I don't have the. I don't know what goes with them. I don't have the quest of Ring Bearer. But I think it's 19 might 8 models and 6 models apparently as well.
8. Why is it 8 models and 6 models? Oh.
I'm just dumb.
Yeah,
There's 6 rocks. They throw rocks and they've got the bows. That's 6 ranged attacks. There you go.
Yeah, there we go.
6 models with ranged attacks. I figured it out.
This is a really interesting list, having everyone but Gandalf in the Fellowship. I've never actually played against the Breaking of the Fellowship personally. Have you had a chance to play with or against it, Andrew?
No. So I just want to point out that this breaking, if you take Boromir with the shield option,
yep,
it's exactly 600 points. So that's perfect.
Yeah.
I'll just remind you of all the special rules the Breaking the Fellowship gets. So everyone gets an Elven Cloak for free.
Yep.
Frodo gets a single free will point to cast Blinding Light.
Yeah.
Sam counts as having a 6 for any climb, jump, or leap.
Mm-hmm.
Merry and Pippin reroll wounds. Aragorn has an Elven-made dagger with Uruk-hai Bane.
Yeah.
Legolas can reroll hits within 3 of another model. Galadriel gets... Gimli gets a reroll because of Galadriel's locks.
Yeah.
3 times. Boromir gets Woodland Creature. Everyone counts as having Fortified Spirit. And they count as a banner if there's another model within 3. As long as Frodo's alive, they're all fearless. So it's a lot of buffs.
It is, yes.
It's neat. I really like the list. I played a game against it. I may have bummed him with a bunch of Lake Towners and just surrounded all of them. But it was a really interesting list to play against. Yeah, Gimli getting those 3 locks of hair with the crazy rerolls is really scary. Makes him really terrifying to deal with, and them bannering each other is also obviously very impactful.
Yeah, definitely. I really like the idea of this Legendary Legion, and I'd love to actually play a game against them. I think when I look at this Legion, I struggle to, I guess, see the value of the Legion without Gandalf in it. I love playing with wizards, personally, so I don't think I would play Fellowship without him. but I can also see the appeal for the Breaking the Fellowship, especially at this points level. Like, it just works so beautifully. Like you said, like, give Boromir a shield, and that's exactly 600. It's perfect. So, yeah. Alrighty, shall we jump into our next list?
So we got Moria from Eric. We've got, take it away, Chris.
Yeah, so this is a big list, and I love it. So you get Durbos, Goblin King, 4 Moria goblins with shield, 3 goblins with spear, 5 goblins with orc bow, 1 warg marauder, 1 goblin prowler, 1 cave troll with a chain and the swap to the hand and half hammer. You then have a Moria black shield captain, 4 Moria goblins with shield, 3 Moria goblins with spear, 2 Moria black shields, 1 Moria black shield drummer, or drummer set, so 2 models, a Moria prowler, and then in the final warband you have a Moria goblin shaman with 4 goblins with shield, 1 warg marauder again, and a dweller in the dark. What are your thoughts on this one, Andrew?
So this is going to be great fun for the Fellowship to go up against because you've got some nice numbers and you've got some big scary things for them to fight as well. Yeah, you've got a Dweller and a Cave Troll, so you've got some nice monsters in there. 2 Marauders is respectable for your maneuverability as well. You can make an argument to swap one of the Marauders for a Bat Swarm to help your big things out as well if you wanted to. And you've got some Prowlers in there as well for sneaky stabbing and chopping.
Yes. That was definitely my first thought, was I'm surprised it's 2 Marauders instead of a Bat Swarm and a Marauder. But, what are your thoughts on it, Aleksa?
I like Dweller in Dark. Cool model.
It is
that's my thoughts. I really want to see the Dweller in the Dark and what it can do. Because I always scroll past it and I look at it and I'm like, this is really cool. I want to see what this can do. It's a really interesting monster, like alternative to trolls and things. The fact that it's on a 60 mil base is what we were talking about before the show started, and it's really interesting. I guess I would say downside. Bigger bases are usually worse than smaller bases in most situations, I find, because you lose on mobility. You're easier to trap. There's lots of hidden downsizes to base size, as it were. Like, you don't really think like, oh, base size, that's a downside, but it can really be a problem for them in comparison to especially the cave troll, which is on a 40 or a 50.
40 mil.
40, yeah. Like that's a big difference in terms of being able to get around.
Yeah, I think the Dweller is it's a hard one. I think having one of each, a Cave Troll and Dweller in the Dark, is probably correct if you can buy 2 of them, and 2 monsters as in. But I think the Dweller is going to be the one that's going to sit off on the sides, use its higher movement value, move 8, and I believe it is fight 7. Is that correct, Andrew?
That's right.
Yeah, using that fight 7 on a side is, I think, going to be really impactful.
And the healing.
Yes, that too, yeah.
Yeah. What do you think, Andrew? What do you think of the Dweller as a model?
Yeah, I think against the Fellowship it's going to go want and find a hobbit and just take away the dead of night and we'll never be see again. I think the Strength 5 can be tricky with certain interactions, like happily there's no Sorcerer's Blast and stuff like that. But yeah, against that, doesn't have the Strength 6 threshold against not getting knocked over for things. So that can be a weakness for it. But the Fight 7 makes it dangerous for heroes. So against something like Captains, it munches them. Yeah,
it really is an interesting model, I think. Any final thoughts, Chris?
Not.
What do you think of the drum being Black Shield drummers and not the big drum?
I think in the way this list wants to play, it's probably correct, because this is a more aggressive Moria list.
It wants to get up there with the monsters and just go.
Yeah, I think if you're doing like the true Horde style list, like you do double kings, maybe drop to 1 monster, and you do like double king, 2 captains, and a shaman.
You have a much wider line, then you need the bigger drum.
Exactly.
But in this case, it's just smaller line and monster folks here.
Yeah. I think you almost want to let your heroes and monsters do the front lining for most of it. So I think it's correct.
Yeah, I think it's fair. On to our next list. We've got Azogs Legion / Hunters. So we've got Bolg on Warg, who is a leader in the Azogs Legion, gaining the Master of Battle, with 3 Gundabad Berserkers, 6 Gundabad Orcs with Spears, 1 Gundabad Orc with Shield, Spear, Banner. Then we've got Fimble from Azogs Hunters with 4 Hunter Orcs, 2 Hunter Orcs with 2-handed picks, 3 Hunter Orcs with bows, 2 Fell Wargs, and a Hunter Orc Captain with 5 Hunter Orcs, 1 Hunter Orc with 2-handed pick, 4 Hunter Orcs with bows, and 1 Fell Warg, giving us 8 might, 35 models, and 7 bows. What do we think, Andrew?
So just from a thematic point of view, obviously this Bolg's dead by now, but the agreement is that this is like these are used to represent other generic hunter orcs or orcs in general from that kind of region. Because otherwise you're knocking out half the Hobbit armies, and that's just not fun.
Yes, very fair.
Yep, it's a classic combination. Your hunters plus legion. Bolg becomes pretty scary with Master of Battle, especially against the Fellowship. He's gonna have something to do with the turn.
Yeah, that was my first thought as well.
I didn't think about that. Those poor hobbits.
And yeah, the Hunter Orcs are always solid picks. There's a solid amount of just shooting in there to keep your opponent honest as well. And you've got a nice Gundabad core that can run a bit of a shield wall, and I like the inclusion of the Berserkers for a bit of extra maneuverability as well.
Yeah. I really like the inclusion of those 3 Berserkers. I think having movement 8, or even more than that, just any movement value above your opponent is a really big advantage to leverage. And on Berserkers, no less as well, that is absolutely terrifying to bring to bear. So I think it's a really smart choice.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting list. I mean, Bolg leader Legion is pretty standard. Either Azog or Bolg leading Hunter Orcs from Legion is just a very strong way to go. Just getting that Master of Battle for free, basically, is just insane, really. And then you still get to keep the upsides of being in Hunt with the improved shoe value and bow limit and all that.
Yes, and more glowers because you have Bolg.
Is that what it does?
Because it's on his profile. Yeah.
How good. All right, this region's a bit short because we're missing a couple of lists, but what are we looking forward to here? Are we looking forward to just Bolg eating all those Fellowship hobbits? What about you, Andrew?
Oh yeah. I'd love to see a list of how many different actions that he calls.
I think they should play a minigame with this, where Bolg's army sits at like 24 inches and only Bolg moves forward, and just see how long he lasts.
The first challenger approaches.
Yeah, one at a time. Yeah. We can start with Mary. No, I think the matchup I want to see the most is going to be the Moria into the Fellowship. I think it was said really well earlier, this would be a really fun, flavorful matchup to kind of see the skill level of the Fellowship player come into the really high model count and double monster sort of matchup. I know from when I was a kid playing the Mines of Moria intro games and all that sort of stuff, like, the cave troll was terrifying, and obviously the way the rules are set up now and the inclusion of the way that the killing power can come out of the Fellowship, obviously it's not as scary, but being backed up by, like, the amount of punch that goblins can actually bring with those backstabbers and that sort of... not backstabbers,
They do get backstabbers.
They do, yeah, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, you got the right one. The +1/+2 to win with the 2-handed backstabbers.
Yes. Like with backstabbers and even getting the +1 fight, obviously that's not going to help too much unless you're helping to coup de grace a hobbit or two. But, like, just having those things is really cool.
Yeah, I agree. I think that'd be an interesting matchup. Yeah. Sorry, you were going, Andrew.
I will say as well, the even though they're not in yet, I know the other 2 lists for the good side in this are an Army of Thror and a Moria Expedition Dwarf list. So in those matchups, the Prowlers will definitely come into their own. I think a lot of those monsters will create a lot of value as well, fighting against dwarves.
Yeah, I think a cave troll with the hammer is a very scary thing to fight as a dwarf player.
I'm excited to see dwarves get squished. That's my hope. That'll actually be fun.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I feel personally attacked.
Well, let's go into your dwarven region. So we've got Rovanion / Mirkwood. So for the forces of good, we've got the Army of Thror and Thranduil's Halls. And for the forces of evil, Easterlings and Khans. So we've got Mr. Chris Tott's list here with the Army of Thror. So we've got Thror, 10 Guardians of the King, and 2 Warriors of Erebor with Spear and Shield. Thrain with 5 Warriors of Erebor with Spear and Shield, and then 3 Warriors of Erebor with Shields, a Captain of Erebor with a Shield, 6 Warriors of Erebor with Spear and Shield, 2 Warriors of Erebor with Shields, 8 Might, 31 models, 0 bows, 600 points. What do we think, Andrew? What's Chris brought us here?
It's a tough nut to crack. Very nice defense. Very nice heroes with Thor and Thrain. They're both pretty potent as well. No shooting in there, but it's a very powerful shield wall.
Yeah, I've played against this list a lot. It's so obnoxious. you're just like, oh, I can't kill anything. And then Thror just finds your hero and just sits there like, yeah, let's go. 10 turns of fighting. I'm not going to take a single wound. Let's go. Yeah. And then Thrain himself is just like this terrifying, like, assassin who's just like, he's always like looking for some heroic combat into the back to just trap you and just squish you with that hammer.
Yeah, if I say so myself, I think this list is literally perfect. I don't think there's a single fault with it. The only mistake I think this list would ever see is anyone but me piloting it, obviously. Yep.
Listen, when you go 0-0-3, that's going to be good.
Oh, I intend to, don't worry. In all seriousness, though, I was actually considering swapping Thrain for Balin, young Balin, and bringing a higher mod account with it. But playing this list a few times now, I really have come to appreciate that map-wide standfast that Thrain offers. So that was kind of my decision-making around it. What are your thoughts? Would you have done the Balin or would you have done Thrain?
Just to clarify as well, does Thor count as a banner?
He does, a 6-inch banner.
Okay, yep, cool. Good. I think 31 models is 600 is respectable enough. How many more could you get if you took Balin?
If I took Balin, what I could have done was another 5 warriors with shield and spear, and then just shield, and then 1 warrior with a shield. So an extra 6 models. Yeah.
That is a big jump for dwarves.
Yeah.
You're approaching horde dwarf levels at that point.
Yes, literally. Yeah. And so I was a little bit sad I didn't take that option in the end, but at the same time, I think it's correct having Thrain, especially knowing that I'm going to be playing mostly Easterlings. Like high defense and that sort of stuff is going to be nice to be able to crunch through it with Thrain. So
having someone to hit all those heroes and just dismount those chariots as well.
Yes, 2 heroes to face tank a chariot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you knock one with the prone and then you just hit them with Thror.
Yep.
So you don't have to do the 4+ in the ways or anything.
Exactly.
Speaking of the Khans, take it away, Chris.
Yeah, so this is Matt's Khandish Alliance. So we have an Easterling War Priest on Armoured Horse with 2 Black Dragon Cataphracts and 2 Black Dragon Cataphracts with weapon swaps to axes. I know it's going to be an axe.
We know it's axes,
yeah. You then have a Khandish King with the chariot, not on it. He's just walking alongside it. 7 Khandish Horsemen and 1 Khandish Charioteer. You then have a king on a horse, leading 6 horsemen, and again the 1 charioteer. So it comes to 5 might, 22 models, 14 bows. What are your thoughts on this list, Mr. Andrew?
Alrighty, we're all mounted again. I love to see it. So I like the choice of having 1 king on a chariot and 1 on a horse. It keeps you flexible and lets one maneuver and be more of your control aura one, whereas the other one is your roll in and run things over one. 3 charge is nice. That's nice to see. You've got a lot of shooting in here, so they can do the maneuver game if they want to, which against dwarves they may very well want to. And then the War Priest buffing up kings could be interesting with Blade Wrath. That could be fun to see. Yeah, I like it. And you've still got a respectable amount of models for an Orc Cavalry force as well, actually.
Definitely. I think 22 models at 600 points for a pure cav list is a really nice number, especially knowing that you have 3 chariots in there.
Yeah, I was going to say, the fact that it's 3 chariots, not just all cav, but 3 chariots is pretty big. Because chariots are chunky. They're tough.
Yeah. It's a little bit unfortunate that there's going to be 1 player at least with Dwarf, D7. That's going to be a little bit annoying for the chariots to go into. Just in terms of the impact hits, they're not going to get as much value out of them.
And those Grimhammers are going to be really good at knocking them prone.
Yeah.
That's the actually scary part,
Yes.
I think.
You took the words out of my mouth.
You're going to kill 30 points with just got a 4+.
Yes.
Or no, a roll off even.
Yeah. I remember when I played Adam at HobbitCon, I had a camel with the impact hit just knock his chariot straight out, and he was like, "Oh man,
that's so sad." That's so sad.
Yeah.
If you get the king on the chariot and you get him Blade Wrath and he calls a heroic combat, that will put the fear into some dwarves.
Yes, very much so. Yeah. Can you piercing strike off of Blade Wrath as well to boost your strength again?
Yeah, honestly, why not?
I believe so, yeah.
Well, it says you're strength to 6, then you get +1 to your strikes. So
Dude, straight 4+ to wound with a chariot buff behind you. Let's go.
That's pretty scary. I like the War Priest. The War Priest is just always cool to have in a list. I think they're a nice ally.
Any other thoughts on this list, Andrew?
The Black Dragons are nice as just having a bit higher defense, and yes, those weapon swaps are axes because out of curiosity, when I was running the numbers, he had 598 if he doesn't do that. So I think that's good.
Why not?
Yeah, exactly.
Right, on to our next list, Thranduil's Halls, boys. So we've got Thranduil with extra sword, Circlet of Kings, El Kevyama, the shebang, just no bow. 4 Mirkwood elves with shields, 4 Mirkwood elves with glaives, 4 Mirkwood elves with bows, 4 Mirkwood cavalry with shields, and 1 Mirkwood elf with a banner and a shield. Then a Palace Guard captain with shield, 4 Palace Guard with shield, 4 Palace Guard with spears for a nice 5 might, 27 models, 4 bows, 600 points. What do we think, Andrew? What's Thranduil going to do for us here?
Yep. So this is the Thranduil list basically. He's doing everything here because he is your big hitter. He's got all your magic. He's giving you the buffs and the wounds for all your other elves as well. He's going to be doing everything else. He's going to be buffing up those Palace Guard captains. You're going to have a Fight 7 captain, which is quietly quite nasty. Yeah, but I think the Palace Guard captain, if he's with Thranduil, is actually one of the best captains in the game for that reason, because that's pretty phenomenal.
Probably the best. I think definitely top 3.
Says the best, instantly says top 3.
It's too early, okay? Leave me. Spent 2 hours making this last night, okay? Leave me alone.
I think this list is actually just terrifying. I've had the privilege of playing this list a few times now, and Dylan has run me over twice in a row with this list now. Even into the dwarf matchup, just the fact that you high fight with a +1 to wound on everything relevant to the fights, like, you just flatten things. El was winning the fights most of the time, and then killing dwarves like close to half the time.
Not 5s. It's on 5s, yeah. Oh, with the spear sport. Yeah.
You just do so much damage, and that Palace Guard captain being fight 7 and +1 to wound, if you get those lined up, it's really scary. And Dylan has gotten really good at picking that turn to knock everything down. He got really lucky into a game with me while I was playing Saladin, where I blew all 3 of my will to try and resist it, and rolled 3 3s. And he was like, "You have 2 might. You can't stop this."
Oh no. That's not good.
Yeah. So I'm really excited to see this list on the table and Wrecking Face.
Yeah, Thranduil really is a powerhouse, and he makes these elves terrifying. And I just think it's going to be really hard to deal with him at 600 points.
Yeah,
it's going to be tough to find something to match into him. It's going to be tough to kill the elves around him because they're mostly D6. He's got 4 cav. He's also got 4 cav.
Yeah.
And the fact they treat him as a banner means that they can flank and do a lot of cheeky things while getting that banner.
Yes.
It's really solid.
And he's gotten really good at utilizing those cav as well.
So I'm excited to see how Dylan does. I reckon he'll do good. I have faith.
Definitely, yeah. What are your thoughts, Andrew, on having the 4 horsemen on a list like this? Do you think it's too many? Do you think it's not enough?
You could get away with 3 if you wanted to. But you can definitely go to 4 as well. You haven't got the biggest of infantry lines, but you don't need to when you got Thranduil anyway, and everyone's just going to go within 6 inches of him. So the cavalry help you grab the objectives and flank and pick off key targets if you need them to. So yeah, I always recommend, in just the force, if you want a general balanced army, you want to make sure you've got 3 or 4 cavalry in there, just for that utility of either running off the board or grabbing an objective or hitting a flank or running down that key model that's running away with an objective or something like that. It's always useful to have a couple of cavalry in your army, no matter who you are.
Definitely. I definitely agree with that. I think the minimum I would love to see if you have access to cav on a list is 3, including heroes, 3 horses. But again, that's a little bit up to preference, right?
Yeah. I agree. I think it's definitely nice to have some, but depending on the list, I think also the list itself and the cavalry you're bringing impacts how much you want to also need to bring as well.
Yeah,
definitely. High quality of this, the expensive stuff like Mirkwood, you definitely can't go overboard. Otherwise, you end up with just too few models. But with cheaper cav, Knights of maybe 6 Knights of Minas Tirith, it's not even that many points,
That's what makes Gondor scary.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'll point in this one as well. Because they're getting the army buff, they've effectively got lancers.
Yes. Well, you have infantry with lancers. You have a Palace Guard captain with a lance.
Well, you have great weapons with great weapons.
Yeah. It is scary. I love it.
Yeah, so on to another Eastling Khan Alliance. Take it away, Chris.
Yeah, so we have Mr. Amder himself leading a Black Dragon Cataphract with War Drum, 5 Black Dragon Pikemen with shields, 4 Easterling Warriors with shield. You then have a captain who is armed with a shield, and he is leading a Easterling Warrior with banner and pike. I love that combo. 2 Easterling Bowmen, 4 Easterling warriors with shield, 4 Easterling pikemen with the Black Dragon upgrade, and a Khandish king on a chariot. So 7 might, 22 models, 3 bows. What are your thoughts on this one, Andrew?
So we talked before about the previous Easterling list with the drum. This one's also got a captain, so this one can pull a flash and just run across the board at lightning speed.
Zoom, 20 inches, right?
Yeah, with the chariot there as well. I believe the chariot doesn't get affected by the drum because it's got doesn't have the Easterling keyword.
Correct.
Is that right?
Yes, that's right.
So you can use that to your advantage as well in some ways, because the rest of your army can't charge with the chariot. Can still do its thing or go a different way if it wants to.
Yeah, definitely. I think this is a really interesting list. So it's the same model count as the previous one we saw with Matt's list, but it's obviously a very different format of how it's being put together. And I love the inclusion of just the Naked King on Chariot. I think it's a really nice ally to bring. I wish it was green allies with Mordor. I think I'd be doing that and a Great Beast of Gorgoth a lot.
Well, that sounds like a really interesting list, actually.
Yeah.
Sounds neat.
Yeah, what are your thoughts of just the one king on Chariot, Andrew?
Yeah, like you guys are saying, it's a bit of a wild card, because it's not, the rest of your army is a bit of a shield wall pike block, so it can be free to go off and do whatever it needs to do, depending on what kind of matchup you're in, whether it stays close or if it goes off in a bit of an adventure with maybe a cataphract somewhere. The one thing that worries me a little bit about the list is it is a bit lower on the model count compared to some of the other evil lists that we've seen. So the king is going to have to put in work to make up for it.
Yeah, I definitely think Amda and the Khandish king have to do a lot of lifting in this list. But if you need 2 models in an army to do it, I think they're a very good pair to do that. So
Yeah, at 600 points, they're definitely some of the most, they're really, really efficient at what they do. They're not, quite as good as those 200 plus heroes, but for the points you're paying, and at 600 points where those heroes are very rare, they can do work. I mean, obviously they're facing down Thranduil, who is kind of scary like that. Who's going to be probably a tough matchup for them, I think. But if they can try and get him off the elk, like if the king just goes for the chariot into the elk and just tries to, pop it with the impact hits, just going for it like that might not even be bad,
See, I almost think that's a mistake.
Could be, in a way.
Thranduil gets powered up
when he dismounts.
Do you want him to win fights or do you want him to kill models? Well. You as the opponent.
You're right. I mean, in my list, I always bring Thranduil with 2 swords and nothing else. I think that's the optimal way to run him, isn't it?
Yeah. What are your thoughts on that sort of stuff, Andrew? Would you try to dismount him if you were piloting this list?
Oh, it's a tricky matchup because they're out shooting you, they're out fighting you. The one thing you've got is your maneuverability, really. So I think you have to leverage that to find a spot that's advantageous for you in terms of terrain, or pick them out on turn when they're not ready for you to get to them, and you're going to have to use that to your advantage. So that may mean, depending on where Thranduil is, either trying to go for him or trying to ignore him and kill some elves.
Yeah, I think that's the hard decision to make with Thranduil is... and I've definitely made the mistake a couple of times now of if you dismount him, yes, his killing power goes down, especially from the elk, because he strikes at strength 5 and has cab bonuses. And so he loses a lot of efficiency on the killing side of things, but he goes to it's very easy to get Thranduil up to 5 dice winning a fight, and 5 dice at strength 4 is still scary.
Yeah, it's still a lot. He's just hard to deal with. Yeah, I think it'll be about trying to find an angle where the king and Amdor can go crazy and try to get a lot of kills in a turn. That's gonna be where it's gonna and trying to snowball off that, popping off 5-6 elves in a turn and then trying to get a dice advantage between your cav and your heroes.
Yeah, I think the dream would be the captain, Amda, and the Khandish king all call a combat in the one turn and just try to break half of the list. If you can execute a extreme flank of the Elven force, for example, you're going to be in a really good spot to push hard into your next turn. And I think I'd go for the execute on the, the captain, the Palace Guard captain first, and then try to execute down Thranduil in the late game. Obviously, it runs the risk of Thranduil doing the exact same thing and running just as high as a kill count himself. But I think you either need to go for the flash kill early or just go for play the long game and hope 3 heroes outkill the 1.
Yeah, Amdor just going for a strike, 2-handing, and just trying to one-shot the captain and get the might back on the Blood and Glory.
Exactly.
That's I think, the go. Right, any final thoughts?
Not for me. What about yourself, Andrew?
Yeah, the part's going to make the heroic combats tricky as well. You have to pick your moments. So yeah, Chris is going to have to play intelligently, I think, in that matchup.
Yeah, definitely.
And onto our final list, the Mirkwood Rangers. So Legolas with Elven Cloak, 6 Rangers and 1 Wood Elf Sentinel. Mirkwood Ranger Captain with 7 Rangers. Toriel with Elf Bow, 7 Rangers and a Wood Elf Sentinel. 8 Might, 25 models, 25 bows, 600 points.
Yes.
What do we think, Andrew?
Yeah, Rangers are cool. It's and they're lucky they don't have any Crebain in their region, so that will help them.
Oh my gosh, they don't. Yeah.
I've seen some interesting variants of Mirkwood Rangers over the years. I've seen some funky all-hero stuff and other such shenanigans.
Yeah.
But yeah, at its core, like, this is all about shooting and kiting, isn't it? And if you got some forest on your boards, you're feeling pretty good about it. You got your heroes are pretty respectable as well, so they can do some damage and cause some flash heroic combats if they want to as well.
Yeah.
And I think that the biggest fear that the Rangers will have is if there's no terrain that they can get into of facing cavalry one-on-one.
Definitely. I think that can be the big scary point of a list like this. However, 25 bows, like if you get the 24 apart, even with a bad terrain board, you can still thin out the ranks. And as we've seen, this region, the evil forces are relatively light on model count. So 3 or 4 kills can make a big difference as the game progresses.
Or the chariot will plow down every single elf in its way. If there's no forest to stop it. I just want to watch a chariot kill 10 elves. Okay, that's all I want. Although the Wood Elf Sentinel could turn the chariot on its masters.
No.
Why not?
Because you can't spin the chariot with a sentinel move, I'm pretty sure.
Why not? Didn't you just make a move?
Actually, chariots you might be able to. I know you can't do it with like warbeasts and that sort of stuff.
Can you not Mumak with like a Wood Elf Sentinel?
No, because you have to do it on the war leader,
right.
And the war leader's fearless, so he just passes automatically.
But the chariots aren't fearless, so you just do it on the chariot driver.
Yeah, I just don't know. Andrew, do you know? Can you make the chariot turn around?
Instinctively, my answer is yes. I'm frantically flicking through the book as we speak if you want to stall for 10 seconds.
My thoughts on it is from the Iron Hills chariot, where it explicitly says you can't do it. I don't know whether that's only the Iron Hills chariot or not,
assuming that it doesn't have a stipulation that you can't, I would assume you can.
Yeah, exactly that. I assume you can, thinking about it now, but yes.
I believe you can, glancing at it quickly, because it's talking about compel and transfix, and so that you target the rider, and then that makes the chariot do a move.
Things,
it is harder with the chariot because of the way it moves. It has less purchase to spin and do crazy things like a moving compelled Mumak could.
Exactly.
But it's still something that the chariot players are going to have to watch out for.
Yes. I am so happy you can finally get more than one Sentinel in a Mirkwood Rangers list. It makes me so happy.
Oh yeah, because of the model count, yeah.
Oh, not even model count.
Boil count, sorry, yes. I'm assuming this is in the Legendary Legion for it.
Yeah, it would have to be.
Because there's 2 Sentinels, yeah. Which I think...
Good timing.
Yeah,
it is very good timing.
He timed it perfectly.
Yeah, and Josh has played this list quite a few times, the Ranger heavy list. So I'm excited to see how he goes with it.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I think missions and terrain will be a big part of how this goes. If those chariots can get in and just go just across the elves, especially the triple chariots Matt's bringing.
Yes.
Like just one turn where the entire elven line just gets. What an undignified way to die as an elf.
Yes, I definitely think this matchup with these guys into the chariot list is going to be by far my favorite of the matchups.
It's going to be one of the most exciting. Yeah, I think we can get. We're at the end of the region, so I think we can get into matchups. I think chariots. I mean, there's 2 lists with chariots, but I think the triple chariot especially is going to be such an exciting game to just watch with the Wood Elf Sentinels trying to charm the 2 chariots while the chariots are just coming to run them over. I think it'll be just an excellent game to just watch.
Yes, shepherding versus shepherding.
Yeah. What are your favorite matchups here?
So in that one, I'm actually curious to see if there's going to be any accuracies called by the Rangers to try and snipe chariots off their...
I think accuracies and even heroic shoots are both going to be really valuable there. But
yeah,
it will just be an interesting one. I guess it largely depends on the terrain setup and that sort of stuff, like we've said. But
I think definitely in the 3 chariot list for sure, because the charioteers are a lot easier to kill than the characters. But just the single king feels like it's just as easy to kill him as the chariot, really. So you may as well just shoot normally.
It
What's
is
the
one of
chariot's
good
defense?
ones. 7?
7. 3
Yeah,
wounds.
yeah. So it's the same wound roll.
Yeah.
So
You may as well go for the
may as well just shoot 25 and kill both. You know. It's a lot of. 25 bow shots hitting on most likely 3s or 4s. Like, it's terrifying.
It is,
and it's
yeah.
wounding on 6s, not 6/4s, which is the really scary part for the charioteers and chariots.
Yeah. I'm very happy I'm playing a good force.
You're just glad you're not getting gunned down with little 5-inch move dwarves. Just oh no.
No, it's fine. Like I actually think if I had to play into this list with my dwarf list, I would be relatively okay.
The fact that they don't have a banner, I think, is the big deal for them.
Yes,
Like-
that does hurt.
I'm so sad that I would have loved to seen Legolas and Tariel count as 3-inch banners. I think that would have been so big for the Legion.
Yeah, that was what I was thinking they would, like, what I was hoping they would do to make it actually really nice. I mean,
Yeah,
it's still fine. I mean, this is terrifying to play into.
exactly.
But it just has a lot of bad, like, if you're playing anything where you're forced to be up front, it just is rough that you don't have a banner at all, especially with elves, because banners are so huge on elves, and you have spears, and it's tricky. It's very tricky to play this list, I think, without having something like that.
Yes. However, your entire force is minimum 2 dice. That is quite nice because
Well, no.
everything can shield.
Can they? Oh, is that
Yeah.
part of Knife Fighters?
No, part of the Legion. The whole Legion can shield.
Wait, I didn't know that. That's actually huge.
Yeah, so that's their way of kind of cheating that rule. A little bit,
Okay, that's crazy. That's really good.
is like you do 2v1s and then you shield the 1v1s.
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. I like that a lot. Anyway, final thoughts, Andrew.
So I think it's going to be quite a fun region. I think there's going to be a lot of really different ways that it can go. And I think it's going to come down to the skill of the players on this one, because there's a lot of different tactics and things that interact with each other in this one. So I'm quite keen to watch these games play out, actually. Yeah, there's a lot of possibilities.
Yeah, definitely. I think, for me, it's going to be really interesting to see how those chariots play. I think my favourite matchup, I've already said it, is going to be the Rangers into the 3 chariot list. Yeah. But any of the chariot lists going into any other army, I'm really excited to see. So, yeah, what about you, Aleksa?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I agree. The chariots are it's going to be an exciting game to watch. It's going to be a terrifying game to play for both sides.
Yeah.
Oh
man, I'm so excited to get Grimhammers into those chariots.
Jesus. Anyway, I think that's all the lists we have submitted so far. So let's just get hyped, right? Like, you know, what's our favorite region or thing we're looking at right now, Chris?
So obviously I'm going to take myself out of the picture for this one. I think my favorite region is going to be watching the Fellowship go into their matchups. Yeah. So I think anything in the Fellowship matchup, the Goblin list especially though, is probably going to be the hot pick for my absolute favorite matchup of the event so far, based off the lists that have been submitted. So I'm just really excited to see what happens with that. What about yourself, Andrew?
I'm a bit of a Rohan fanboy, so I'm interested in that region, obviously, and seeing how the cavalry goes against the various Dunland and Isengard variants that they're facing, because I think it's always just a classic matchup of mobility and firepower against numbers and staying power.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm here for the Slaughterfest. Hatred v Hatred is just going to be the best game of the tournament. No doubt about that. I hope they have to play Contest of Champions. They just deploy on the line with each other.
Contest of Champions. Gunbury Man. Just Gothmog.
Just one shots Gothmog. It just goes Hatred. Boom. I don't know if it'll quite go that way. I don't know how likely that is, but I think it would be an excellent.
No, that doesn't sound fun.
Hey, Gunn will be really good at killing the Orcs, though.
No, he won't.
Yeah, he will. He's strength 4 with +1 to wound.
Yeah, but he's still going to fight 4.
Yeah, the Orcs will fight 3.
Tom will have to play out of his mind, but yes, it could be a good matchup.
I think it'll be brilliant. And then, Gothmog's going to lose one fight against like 6 roses and just die.
They're all going to piercing strike.
There's no point. He's D7. There's no point piercing.
I'd do it on principle.
Well, I mean, that won't stop Tom.
Yeah, that's true. You don't have to prove a point. You say, I might be defense 1, but I'm still winning this fight. Yeah. Alrighty. Well, that is all of our thoughts on the list and that sort of stuff. Is there any other things we want to drop in here at the end?
Yeah, Andrew, take it away. Anything for the event?
So I think I am excited purely because this is the first event that we're having here in New South Wales after second lockdown. So I think it's going to be really nice just to be able to see everyone again and catch up and see how everyone's been and seeing all the lovely new armies that they've all painted while we've all been locked down. So I think it's going to be really nice just to get out and be able to roll some dice again.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's why so many people I know have been excited for this event. As well as it being a largely charity-based and thematic event as well, I think it's the perfect event to come out of lockdown with.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, it's fun having like a not fully competitive event, just going in and having a bunch, like the Fellowship running around in a bunch of thematic matchups is just really cool, right?
Exactly.
Like that's not something you'd normally have at a tournament.
Yes, yeah. So I think a relaxed, calm, fun environment where we get to see a bunch of wacky matchups go at it.
A bunch of chariots. And
Yeah, a bunch of
Wildmen.
dwarves get steamrolled by chariots.
I think your dwarves are going to be. That's not what we're all looking forward to. It's the elves.
That's true, yeah. Alrighty. Well, with that, let's take us home. Hey, if this is something you guys have enjoyed, feel free to give us a like, comment, subscribe. Those things do help us. Obviously, just you viewing it as well is going to be huge as well for us. So anything you want to do in that range, please feel free to. Andrew, thank you so much for coming along today.
Pleasure.
And yeah, with that, have a lovely day.